Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Something you may have noticed over time on YouTube is that when it comes to anything fitness related or workout related, Planet Fitness is often the butt of the joke. Ironically, every other comment that you see on a YouTube video about Planet Fitness is just guys saying, oh, man, I just wasn't allowed to lift heavy there. They'll kick you out for being strong. Planet Fitness hates fit people. What a joke.
Is this you?
When you search the term Planet Fitness in the YouTube search bar, all that you'll see come up in the recommended is Planet Fitness gym fails, and you'll see videos of people doing wacky, crazy stuff at Planet Fitness. Look, point and laugh at these guys. And I will be honest, they are kind of funny, but you will find stupid people in every gym. But by now, you get the picture. Planet Fitness is a joke. But it's incredibly affordable and really has all the things essentially that I need to get a decent workout in. It's also where I've built my physique for the past 2 years. The physique that helped grow this YouTube channel. The physique that got you to click on this YouTube video was all made at Planet Fitness. For those of you who don't know, my physique transformation, body transformation, really started around April of 2020 when the lockdown first started. Now, a little bit of backstory about me. I don't have the fat to fit fitness journey, body transformation. That wasn't me. My entire life, I've been mostly athletic. I've played sports all throughout high school. And as a kid, I always was full of energy, loved to run around, all that sort of stuff. The one thing that stuck with me though was that I always had a pretty small appetite and stayed skinny the majority of my life. So this meant that later on in my teenage years, once I saw that other people were, really starting to grow, that combined with what I saw on social media of all these dudes being big and strong and pretty much better than me, made me feel bad about the way I looked. I was always skinny, never really knew how to put on weight, and while I was athletic, I was never necessarily that strong. So this, combined with the boredom of being locked up inside in April of 2020, really is what kickstarted my body transformation. Now, I started out by doing calisthenics in my room for about 6 months straight. I've gone over this a bunch of times on my channel. I had a pretty decent calisthenics routine, at least for a beginner. Now, throughout these 6 months that I was doing my calisthenics routine is also when I started my first bulk. Prior to this, I really had no idea what a bulk was. I thought you just worked out and got stronger and drank protein shakes. But as I began to learn more about nutrition as it relates to working out, I started my first bulk at around 150 pounds. And after learning that I had to really eat a lot in order to gain weight and strength, what I would do is after my calisthenics workouts, I would take a shower, then go into the kitchen and find every single high calorie thing that I could dump into a protein shake and down that. I would end up making shakes that were anywhere from like 800 to 1100 calories. And while they were kind of disgusting, I'm not gonna lie, it worked. It worked. By the end of that period from around April to October of 2020, I had gone from around 150 pounds to close to 173. And this was a big deal for me. 173 was the heaviest I'd ever been in my life, and I was incredibly proud of my progress. Before, people had just kind of just saw me as the skinny athletic guy who, he I guess he talks about working out every once in a while. But now, as I started hitting the 170s in my weight and I was, kind of starting to fill out my frame, people started seeing me a little differently. And this trend kind of continues on up to where I am now, where I'll get to that in a bit. After around this 6-month period of calisthenics and bulking, my friends and I decided, why don't we all just try to get strong and go work out at Planet Fitness and get buff and huge and strong. Now, us all being complete gym newbies, none of us really had any real gym experience. Our workouts would consist of us saying, guys, what should we work out today? And then somebody would be like, oh, let's do chest and arms. And then a group of 4 of us would all just be standing around some of the chest machines or some of the bicep curl machines. I look back at those days with just a smile on my face because we were just so stupid. We had no idea what we were doing. I had no idea what I was doing personally. Our workout sets would just consist of completely half-assed sets with horrible form and terrible weight management. I barely even knew what a bodybuilding set was. I would end up doing sets of like chest press machine for like sets of 25 or 30 because I had no idea what I was doing. And I think this is an important stage to go through because something that stops a lot of newbies from actually going out and trying is that they don't know. It's like, what if I get there and I don't know what to do? Well, that's what I did. I got there and I had no idea what to do. But as time went on and the year was coming to a close, the year of 2020, I realized that, I think I can stay pretty consistent to this. And that brings us to 2021. Now, I have to say, 2021 was probably an incredibly significant year for me as far as how I kind of grew physically and learned a lot mentally. But as far as my workouts and physique transformation goes, basically the entire year of 2021 was just me putting on size. 2021 was me basically almost going on a year-long bulk. And this is probably the most inefficient bulk ever because between the start of 2021 and the end, I went from around 173 to around 195. Now, numerically, that's not a crazy difference, but it did make a big difference in the way I appeared, especially towards other people. I now wasn't just Greg, the guy who was skinny before and now talks about working out a lot. I was the guy out of the friend group who was the gym bro. I was the guy who was always telling people, oh, why don't you work out this and why don't you work out that and work out and work out. I was the guy who got pretty annoying when it came to gym stuff. But something important about 2021 is also when I started really consuming a lot of fitness content. If you were to look at what my YouTube searches looked like in 2021, it was all either stock market stuff, probably at the beginning of the year, and towards the end of the year, it was pretty much all fitness stuff. Now, what this did to me was it made me more knowledgeable about things like nutrition and workout splits and supplements. But it also had a pretty adverse side effect. It pretty much kickstarted how I mentally faced body dysmorphia. It's basically just when someone thinks that they're either too skinny or too fat, that no matter how much they change, mentally it's never enough. A good example you'll see is that the biggest bodybuilders face a lot of body dysmorphia because even to them at their massive size, a lot of them still mentally believe, I'm too small, I have to get bigger, and I have to get bigger, and I have to get bigger. No matter how much I do, I'll never be big enough. And you'll see this on the flip side with, let's say, an anorexic person who, no matter how skinny they are, how malnourished they are, they'll always be, I'm too fat, I have to get skinnier. Obviously, this all stems back to mental health and environmental factors that affect your mental health, which I think I'll most likely be making a video on. Now, back to my body transformation in 2021. I pretty much had gone on this year-long bulk and put on a decent amount of size. I was around 190, low 190s towards the end of the year, and had put a lot of muscle on my frame, but I lost essentially most of my athleticism and basically never did cardio at all. And that is what resulted in me looking like this towards the end of 2021. I was a lot larger than I was before, but pretty much all I had going for me was some decent amount of size. Now, something important to note, throughout all of this time at Planet Fitness, I'm not doing any compound movements. I'm not bench pressing with any sort of effectiveness. I'm definitely not squatting. At this point, I had not worked out my legs basically at all. I would maybe work out my legs once a month, and that was it. So I'm not working out my legs, I'm not bench pressing, I'm definitely not deadlifting. And this is part of a symptom of Planet Fitness. Given the fact that most Planet Fitness locations, or pretty much all of them, have no free barbells, the Smith machine is all you've got. So pretty much mentally what I would tell myself is, no, I'm not going to squat or deadlift. First of all, that's dangerous for your back, and there's no free barbells at Planet Fitness, so why would I do it? Obviously, I still had a lot more to learn. So about a couple weeks after these pictures, is when I started to make one of the biggest and most important changes I would make throughout my body transformation. And probably one of the things that led the most to the way that I look now. I began doing compound movements and training my legs. Now I need you to keep in mind that by this time in late 2021, my habits were by no means perfect at all. I spent most of my time just watching YouTube videos and playing video games every once in a while, and overall just wasting time on things that I didn't really need to be doing. So around December of 2021 is when I started to take self-improvement kind of seriously. You'll notice that this time that I'm starting self-improvement coincides with when I made pretty much the most drastic progress in my physique out of any point in time so far. By January of 2022, I was incredibly dialed in on my workout habits, on my eating habits. I was basically working out 5 or more times a week when for the past year I had been going maybe 3 or 4 times a week. And by now I had already put on a lot of mass since I first started. Let me remind you, I first started around 150 pounds. By now I was sitting at 191. And as 2022 started is when I also started making these videos. So I was both focused on getting my physical fitness right and sharing the progress I'd made with my mental health with you guys. And that helped me stay even more consistent in what I was doing. It helped keep me pretty much accountable. And I loved making the video. I don't exactly know what it is about doing heavy compound movements, but the fact that I started taking them a lot more seriously now really seemed to blow up my physique. Maybe it was the fact that I was becoming more and more consistent in the gym, going day after day after day. But I think there's something special. Maybe there's some scientific literature about it, about how lifting heavy really changes the way you look. But I'll look at the difference between how I looked in November of 2021 and then like January, February of 2022. And it's just an insane difference to me. I can't really describe it. I don't really know how to describe it, but I am going to show you as many progress photos as I can. Around the time of mid-January and February of 2022 is also when I started to cut a little bit. This was the first real cut I had ever done in my life. And I think the best part of how I did it is that I took it slowly. My cut pretty much started accidentally when I started taking daily walks in the winter around January of 2022. And I noticed that just the calories expended through going on these daily walks led to me losing around 4.5 pounds throughout the month of January that I didn't even plan on losing. And after seeing how my body looked following losing this weight, I was really into it. I started to see abs, I started to see separation around my shoulders, and I was hyped about it. So I continued this very slow cut while still lifting as intensely as I could. And what I ended up stumbling upon was the concept of a body recomp. And as far as I know what a body recomp means, it just means you're actively trying to lose fat while gaining muscle. I'm going to start showing you pictures gradually of how I started to look from January to March. And you can just tell that over time I'm just getting more and more cut, more and more lean. And by the time we hit, I think, July of 2022, man, I was starting to look grainy, bro. And interestingly enough, while I was starting this cut is when I started to get more and more confidence around my body. That body dysmorphia that really bugged me while I was bulking for pretty much the entirety of 2021 was becoming less and less of a factor for me as I noticed how good I was starting to look on this cut. My confidence was pretty much higher than it had ever been at any point in my life, mainly because of just the way my body looked. This is why I urge pretty much all of the gym newbies who are starting skinny to not go on a cut immediately after your first 3 months lifting. You don't need to. Start building up the mass first, and then once you're as massive as you think you need to be before you start a cut, then cut. And you'll be incredibly grateful that you had some patience. Now, as we're going through the months of March, April, May of 2022, thanks to the newfound confidence I'm posing left and right And the way people treat you, when you look a certain way, it's definitely real. The way people treated me before I had ever even started this fitness journey versus how they treated me when I looked like this in July, it's night and day. People have almost a newfound respect, or even something I noticed, people even have some sort of a fear when you're in the gym next to them. When I first started, I would never notice this, but when I started to look pretty much jacked, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but when I was starting to look really jacked, I'd be in the gym like next to a machine that I wasn't using, and people would ask me, hey bro, are you using that? You mind if I use that? I was like, yeah, I'm not using it. It's little things like that you'll notice. People are extra nice to you. They're cautious around you almost. It's an odd feeling, but I guess it's just the side effect of how people treat you when they physically view you differently. Now, by the summer of 2022 is when I was purely focusing on aesthetics. Aesthetics were everything to me at this point. So I had pretty much built all the muscle mass that I needed. So this was just about getting cut and shredded and leaned out as much as I could. So throughout the course of January to around July of 2022, I had cut from around 191 to the high 170s. I was around 178, 179, and this was me at my leanest. Combined with also being the strongest I had ever been because I had only recently started doing compound lifts. When it came to my body image and appearance, I honestly just felt amazing at this point. Something else that you might notice about the difference between how I looked in 2021 versus 2022 is my legs. I did not know prior to this year I'm not gonna lie, how good my leg genetics are. My legs are probably the most genetically gifted part of my body as I see it right now. So you might see now that my chest is like pretty popping, but that's because I have pretty much hardcore focused on building my chest throughout this bulk that I've been going through right now. My legs throughout the course of 2022 absolutely ballooned in size. Mostly because I had never worked out legs before, and now I was hitting them with heavy compounds. I was squatting weekly. And even though I was only squatting on the Smith machine, which a lot of people give me crap for, because that's all I had at Planet Fitness, even though I was just squatting on the Smith machine, I still saw incredible progress on my legs. So I think the whole gist of this video that I want to come across with is it really doesn't matter what you're given. I think the whole point of this video about how I built my body at Planet Fitness, it doesn't really matter what you're given or the cards you're dealt, it's what you do with them. I could have walked into Planet Fitness the first day and been like, oh, there's no free benches, there's no squat racks, there's no deadlift platforms, I'm out of here, I'm not going to work out. And then just stayed a skinny video game nerd up to now. But what I decided to do is just make do with the best that I had. Yes, I deadlift on a Smith machine. Yes, I squat on a Smith machine. Yes, I bench on a Smith machine. But I've made it work for 2 years now, and I plan to keep making it work as long as it's still there. Obviously, in the future, I want to upgrade to a better gym that, can suit my needs better, where I can maybe lift a little heavier, maybe have free barbells, because that would be a dream for me. But as it stands right now, I'm incredibly grateful for the progress I've made, and if not for having an affordable gym near me, I don't think I would have made the same progress that I have now. I certainly wouldn't have made the same progress that I have now. This video is honestly dedicated towards the guys who are thinking of starting. I don't know, is it really the best thing I could do? Yes, it's the best thing you could do. If you're seriously considering and thinking about it, yes, going out, no matter what gym you have to go to, even if it's not a gym, even if it's at home, whatever is going to get you to start working out and training hard and intensely is what's best for you. If you personally have had a big body transformation despite not having the best gym or just working out at home, let me know in the comments because I want to see your stories too. And that's all I've got for today, guys. See ya.